5 Assassin's Creed games are free from today, August 10th to August 14th, so that's 4 days. They're also 75% off, so if you wanted to buy one and continue playing before the time's up, now is the best time to do it, because a lot of these are super cheap at the moment. 4 days is just enough time to finish one of the earlier games on offer here if you're a player who plays quickly and plays a lot, but that's not going to be realistic for most people, and Assassin's Creed often benefits from letting yourself sink into the experience, exploring it thoroughly. So whether or not you finish, which game should you try while it's free if you could only try one? Let me recommend one or more of these games for you based on what you're looking for or what you'd enjoy. First, some fast recommendations for the player who doesn't have time, not even time to watch a video. Those memories won't sync themselves, right? I'll explain more after, so don't worry, reasons why are coming, but let's get this out of the way first. If you're curious about classic AC, play Brotherhood. If you're curious about the one game both classic and modern fans agree is good, play Black Flag. If you're curious about modern Assassin's Creed and its most recent entry, or you're gonna play Mirage, play the first 3 hours of Valhalla, since Basim is in it and Mirage is his origin story. Those three, Brotherhood, Black Flag, Valhalla, will be fine enough to try if you're someone who's completely new and clueless and wants to have a reasonable experience. If that's enough for you, then thanks for watching, good luck in the Animus, and enjoy trying out the series. For those of you who are still here and want a little more insight than that, I'll go into more detail on each of the games in order right now. Assassin's Creed 2 is a masterpiece. While AC1 is truly the best place to start if you care about properly enjoying this entire world, AC2 is the second best. Play this game if you care about understanding the universe and totality of the series as completely as possible. It's the beginning of Ezio's journey, and the game that made Assassin's Creed genuinely popular for the first time, in a way AC1 never truly did. While it hurts, because AC1 is my favorite game ever made, I respect and appreciate AC2 for what it did for the series. The massive influx of fans it brought in, the way it sent AC on its way to being a western, single-player, story-based saga that's trying its best to give Final Fantasy a run for its money for number of titles released, and trying to rival Kingdom Hearts as far as length of an ongoing story is concerned. AC2 starts with a recap from Desmond Miles, the true protagonist of this season of Assassin's Creed. You see, the entire series' main premise is something hidden from its marketing. It's fundamentally a science fiction or light cyberpunk story about haunting concepts like genetic memory, free will versus authority, and the origins of humanity itself set in a world that's similar to our own, but not exactly. Think of it as Earth a little to the left and always 30 minutes into the future. Everything is hints of futuristic, very dystopian, and the more you dig into its unnerving lore, more than a little horror flavored. Assassin's Creed has almost always featured this dual narrative structure, both stories running in parallel. Desmond's ancestor is Ezio, and through reliving his life and rewriting his memories, instincts and fighting style onto his own brain, the modern assassins hope to speedrun training Desmond to be an assassin ready to wage war on the Templar Order's modern form, Abstergo Industries, a megacorporation controlling the world through tech, drugs, the economy, and more, unbeknownst to its people. The assassins, who are the faction we typically play as, use a machine called the Animus to relive critical moments in history. The reasons for this are numerous, but training and information gathering are the two biggest, since the Animus can write new information directly to the user's consciousness, making them deadlier and stronger if they can withstand the side effects. Try your best to embrace this story on its own terms, and stay curious about the state of the world whenever you're outside of the machine. It gets out of your way again quickly enough, so you'll be back to running around in historical times in no time, and in that historical area of the Italian Renaissance, Ezio, much like a first-time player, knows nothing about this world and its true nature. And much like Desmond, he learns more about being an assassin by synchronizing with his memories. The player will learn too, by experiencing this first chapter in Ezio's trilogy. Assassin's Creed is such a long series that it needed to create various entry points into its storyline. Like I said, while AC1 is the best starting point, AC2 isn't the worst place to begin either. It introduces so many fundamental story and gameplay concepts that the series will keep reiterating on for a long time, and there are good guides online nowadays to help new players out if you find the games a little tricky to control at first. They're easy games, but their controls are different from anything else you've probably played, so don't give up. If you're having trouble with movement or stealth or combat, it usually just takes a mindset shift to figure it out. So feel free to type the name of a game and movement, stealth, or combat guide beside it in the YouTube search box. I can highly recommend Kinography's educational videos if you're struggling. If you like this game a lot, you will keep enjoying the ones that come after too, without a doubt. So if you did enjoy your time with it, it's a safe bet to pick up Ezio's other games too. If you're interested in classic Assassin's Creed's gameplay above all else, and don't care about the world or story as much, you're a complete newcomer or just wants to feel why these older games are so cool in terms of gameplay, try the second game in Ezio's trilogy, Brotherhood. It's the most polished of the 3 games by a wide margin, and while 2 and Revelations each do specific things much better than Brotherhood does, Brotherhood is just always a safe bet mechanically. It's the one game I always recommend someone play if they've never touched AC before, they have very limited time, and they want the most direct path to finding out what made the series so badass to press buttons in and just feel like a fluid dancer of bladed death. Assassin's Creed Brotherhood introduces the strike first, strike fast paradigm, also known as kill chains. To say it rewards aggression would be like saying an empty stomach rewards eating food. It's a massive understatement. In combat, once Ezio gets the first finisher on an enemy, you can feel free to mash your attack button in the direction of the next target to instantly and smoothly kill them too. And if you're good enough, you can continue this chain until every last threat around you is a threat no longer, all without your enemies ever touching you. Brotherhood is the easiest game in the trilogy, and the one in which Ezio is most powerful relative to the enemies he faces, so it's the easiest one to put in front of a player who really wants to know just why assassins in this universe are low-key anime as hell. Assassins from AC were basically John Wick centuries before it was cool. If AC2 is a decent narrative entry point, Brotherhood is a strong gameplay entry point, because it also features in-game VR training missions, little challenge maps with their own rules and scoring, which let you get to grips with parkour, stealth, and combat. They score you on how well you did and how fast you did it, so they're truly a great place to practice and replay these foundational Assassin's Creed mechanics over and over again, which is what makes them so good for a player who doesn't have time to play an entire game, but really wants to see why classic AC's gameplay can kick so much ass once you get good at it. Did you play AC1 back in the day? Maybe you played AC2 and Brotherhood as well, but then decided to call it quits once Revelations rolled around because you figured it was more of the same. You weren't completely wrong, but Revelations concludes both Ezio's and Altair's storylines, and what a conclusion it truly is. This is the shortest game in the series, so this free weekend, the kind of player it's perfect for is one who never actually saw the ending to the tale of these characters. Revelations weaves the stories of Desmond, Altair, Subject 16, and Ezio into a single game, and is considered one of the most emotional games in the entire series. If you had even a bit of attachment to any of these characters, there is a high chance this game makes you cry by the end, and cry hard. Mechanically, this game is tougher than Brotherhood, considerably so, and depending on the kind of player you are, it'll either feel easier or about the same as AC2. Still, it won't throw anything at you that you're not capable of overcoming, because despite being so old, at this point Ezio has every trick he's learned from his life as a master assassin and mentor, and a few more he picks up over the course of this title's runtime. If you thought Altair was cool and wanted to play as him a little bit more or see more of his life, this game lets you, and it's Revelations that informs a lot of why Altair is such a legend in the Brotherhood, and why to this day, he's an assassin that every classic player never fails to honor and remember. If you want to play the Assassin's Creed game of these 5 that is considered the best overall by the highest number of players, and the one that both classic fans and modern fans can find some middle ground on, play Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. It's not as well built and smooth as Brotherhood, and it's not as expansive or recent as Valhalla, but it is truly special, unique even inside its series, and it has less narrative baggage attached than any other game on this list, since it sets up the beginning of a story in both historical and present day. Black Flag represents a clean narrative entry point in the series, which is part of why so many people love it, but it also features a different gameplay feel than the Ezio trilogy or Valhalla. The historical protagonist of Black Flag is Edward Kenway, a pirate, a scoundrel, very charismatic guy. And that means naval gameplay. That means blasting away at opposing ships, boarding them on foot, taking all their gold, grabbing whichever crew members are willing to sail with you, and executing the rest as you head off to whatever treasure beckons you on the horizon. Don't forget, you're still doing Assassin's Creed stuff though, and that means uncovering conspiracies, mysteries about the nature of reality and society, sneaking around and stabbing oppressive tyrants with your hidden blades, and engaging in general acrobatic skullduggery throughout Havana, Kingston, Nassau, and whatever dozens of islands you set foot on. Like I said, both classic fans and modern fans tend to agree that this game is just a great game, and since these two groups of players are typically in constant disagreement with each other, that is something that is very rare indeed. Black Flag is the game that people who'd never tried Assassin's Creed were able to get into as their first one when it came out 10 years ago, and it can still serve that purpose now. It's a long game, longer than most on this list, but if you love what you played, you can be safe in playing the rest even beyond this weekend if you decide to buy it. If you're put off by classic Assassin's Creed and want to try the newest game in the series for free since it's usually still expensive, now is a good time to try Assassin's Creed Valhalla. This is also true if you're curious about the character of Basim from the upcoming AC Mirage, since Basim is in Valhalla and Mirage is his origin story. In this game you'll play as the Norse woman, Eivor Varen's daughter, and you can either choose to let the animus depict her accurately or wear a memory imprint of someone else over her. Who this man is one of the truly cool mysteries of Valhalla, and while the core Assassin's Creed story in this game tends to be very infrequent and spread far apart, the moments in which it hits, it really hits. Valhalla is the game on this list of free titles that is the least like the rest of the series. Stealth will not typically serve you well most of the time, nor will it ever really be necessary. You'll notice that movement has also been extremely de-emphasized. If the agility and the raw speed of parkour is what drew you to the series, you might be a little disappointed here, but this game is great for players who really just want to sink into a world for 300 hours or play as a Viking in a historical setting. The combat is its claim to fame, and while it still has problems, fighting is what this game does better than any other element of its design. Valhalla is a weird game to recommend, because it actually ends a saga. It ends many sagas, actually. It concludes a huge number of lingering plot threads across the whole series that have been hanging around for a decade and a half, and it's also the finale of another season of Assassin's Creed, featuring the latest present-day character, Layla Hassan. Because of this, if you found yourself enjoying Valhalla enough to buy it, I actually suggest looking up the story of Origins and Odyssey first, which were its two predecessor games. If you're interested in what I think, personally, I didn't enjoy Valhalla after reflecting on it properly, and it's a game I'm not in a rush to ever revisit, but depending on who you are or what you enjoy in games, it might be something you like. To me, it's not as representative of Assassin's Creed as the other games on the list are, but again, depending on who you are, maybe that's not such a bad thing for you. The last warning I really have is, no matter what kind of player you are, expect the longest game in the series, and expect to really pace yourself or you will be exhausted and you will burn out. Don't try to do everything, just play the parts of it you actually like, because there's so much sheer quantity of game going on here that you will start to get sick of it even if you don't force yourself to play what you're not into, and that'll happen even faster if you do. With that in mind, if you like Vikings and they're an obsession of yours, this game is something that at times does a very good job of immersing you in that kind of atmosphere and vibe. So that's it for me helping you decide which of these free games to try this weekend. Let me know in the comments what your experience with Assassin's Creed has been, or if you're trying the series out for the first time. At this point, there's enough games that are either slightly or extremely different from each other that there's probably an AC game for any kind of player, which is both a good and bad thing. As you may have guessed, I lean very hard to the classic player side of the spectrum. I cherish and deeply love the first 4 games in the series, and if my opinion is something you value, I'll always smile when new players try those out, especially. Assassin's Creed can be a messy and lopsided franchise of games and media, but it's got some unique elements that nothing else in fiction or gaming has managed to repeat. So if truly distinct experiences in your entertainment are something you constantly look for in life, this series will give you that for better and for worse. Thank you for watching. May fog shroud you, may stars light your way, and may the night keep you safe.